Hi guys, welcome back to day two. I hope that day one has been useful and getting you in the game really of what sort of figures we're going to be looking at as a business, and we're going to really build on the right figures in your business today because it's all about pricing for profit. It's all about profit. Business is purely about profit. Without profit, you don't exist. You can't operate as a business. So we've got to get this absolutely fucking nailed on to begin with, and I've got all the tools inside this for you. So you guys are used to the tools that you use on site, you're used to the tools that you've got within your business, but this is now your business tools. I've got you completely covered. So recap from day one, you should now know an idea of your gross profit target that you need to earn. So we've got a clear defined gross profit target. Now you've now got a sort of a view on your company margin, but we'll work on that more as we progress, and it'll all sort of start making sense as we go on. But equally, from that table on day one, you're going to know, right, the sort of sales revenue and how much work you're going to need to complete every single month to be able to actually hit that net profit target of 10k that we're aiming for and where we want to get to. Okay, now pricing is where you make your money. You make your money at the pricing stage, and typically people don't really give it that much time. They don't give it the effort that is required on it. But if you price wrong from the start, you're fucked. You can never ever catch it up on a job if you've got your numbers wrong, you've got your figures wrong. So that's why we're doing this in a logical, methodical order, so that we know and you know you've got all of your ducks in a row, so that you're set up for success. And that's the most important thing that I can give you out of this program. Yes, we're aiming to get you to 10k, but I'm actually wanting to make you into a real solid business person that you know exactly what you're doing at every stage of the business. Okay, so spend your time on pricing and view it that pricing is the most beneficial use of your time going forward in your business. Okay, some of you are sort of there now, but others, you're not. You don't view pricing as important as it should be. Spend more time on pricing and it's easier. You'll save more time on running the jobs, invoicing the jobs, and knowing where you are with your money, because the biggest killer in construction or any trade business is cash flow. And the reason for that is because you're not pricing properly at the start and you're in the shit. Again, it's like I say, that foundation, if your foundations are off, everything's going to be off. So we've got to get this absolutely locked on. There is no point winning more work if you're not pricing the jobs you've already got or the jobs you're already on correctly and properly. More jobs does not solve the problem of not making the right money from the jobs. We've got to start at the very beginning, get the prices absolutely right, because look, a 10% swing on a 500 grand business, this is very, very common, and some of you, you're not there yet, but you want to be in that sort of ballpark. It's 50 grand difference from the bottom line, and that's the key thing. It's from the bottom line, because when jobs don't make money, it only costs you as the owner. It doesn't cost the customer, because the customer's paid you whatever price you agreed with them. You've paid the labour, you've paid the materials. The only person that gets hit is you, the business owner, and you need to know this stuff and be aware of it. Okay, so it's only going to impact you negatively if you're not on top of the money and you know exactly where you're going with it. Okay. Now, more jobs does not solve the problem, like I say, if your pricing is fucked. And a lot of people, their pricing is fucked. And I've gone through this process with businesses doing a couple hundred grand, multi-millions, and the pricing's still fucked and there's still money to unpack. So regardless of what stage you're at, there is something for you to learn and to maybe be reminded of certain things throughout this video and the videos below it that I'll get into, okay? So price correctly and it will be the easiest money you make. Honestly, when you've got clearly defined, right, this is what the job is costing you, and then you're just basically playing with the margin, it's the easiest money you'll ever make. Like, you're just adding on money for fun and you're just playing a game with the business. And as you get busier, and obviously that's where we want to get you to, when you're actually pricing work, you don't necessarily need it, you can then just basically add more margin on. And I've always found when you do that, you still end up winning the fucking work anyway. So you just start making more and more profits and the company just starts racking up more cash basically, which is what we want as business owners. So you need to know what you're doing with pricing. Some of you are not naturally gifted in numbers and pricing, but you need to know it as a business owner. If you don't know the numbers in your business, you're fucked and people will pull fast ones on you all the time. So again, that's why I'm doing it in this order, so that you know, right, 1,000,000%, you know where you are with your costs. And I've made it very, very easy to understand. It is a very simple system and the tools that I've got below to show you. But you have to know this. This is a non-negotiable thing. You need to know whatever job you touch as a business owner, you need to know the costs associated with that job, and you need to run the job to those costs, which we'll get into later on in terms of tracking costs and actually ensuring that the price you set and the profits you said when you started actually happened and are the reality at the end of each job. So the cost is the cost, and price accordingly. And what I mean by that is a lot of people price work and they go, well, it's probably 3 days, but I reckon we can do it in 2. And you undercut yourself before you even set on fucking site. And it's pointless, because again, if the job ends up taking 3 days, the only person that loses is you. That's coming from the profits. So you're not earning money on that job. So you have to be very realistic when you're pricing work and go, right, how long does it actually take? How long is it going to be for this person, that person? What's the cost from a subcontractor? And those are your costs. Don't fuck around with the costs. And the reason I'm bringing this up is some people think, oh, well, I don't think the customer's going to pay that, or it looks expensive. Doesn't matter what it looks like or what the customer might think. The cost is the cost, as long as you're costing it correctly, which we'll go into, like I say. You know, some people lump figures in and then your price is way out because you just fucking fudged it and guessed it. I want you to get to a point where you are logically, methodically pricing work. Right, this is what it's going to take. This is the cost, and you have got a set. That is the cost figure. Doesn't matter what it is. The cost is the cost. And the only variable, the last point on this on pricing, is the margin that you add on. Okay, that's the only variable, because the cost is a cost. It's going to cost you to deliver that job or someone else to deliver that job. The cost is going to be pretty much the same. Someone might have a carpenter that's 200 quid a day. You might be paying 190 a day, 180 a day. You're not going to be a million miles off. The main determining difference in price is the margin that you put on top, and that's your money, that's your company's money, and this is the money that's going to form that 10k net that we're fucking going for. So very, very important to get right. The only thing on that is sometimes when strategy comes into play that I've put as a note, sometimes you're going at a lower margin that you'd normally want because you want to win a certain bit of work, or it's the gateway for more work and it's just more of a strategic move. That's the only note on that. But for the ballpark, where you guys are heading the whole time, you do not fuck with your margin that you put on, okay? Because otherwise it fucks all the other figures and everything else that we're working on. Now, when it comes to pricing, very simple. We can all understand this as tradespeople and builders or carpenters or whatever. We all understand buckets, right? There's 3 key buckets when it comes to pricing. Bucket number 1 is your labour. So you've all your costs associated with labour in bucket 1. Bucket 2 is the materials. What materials do you need? All the sundries, the screws, the fittings, the fixings, absolutely everything. That's bucket 2. And then bucket 3 is anything that you need to hire, like access equipment. It could be scaffolding, it could be a scissor lift, it could be a mobile tower, it could be a breaker, a Hilti drill, whatever that you need to hire to do the job. It is a cost to doing the job, okay? And I just want you to look at pricing in those 3 buckets, and you'll remember that because I've made it easy to remember 3 buckets. That's how we price jobs. And ultimately, you are going to get to a point where you know the net cost to you to deliver that job, because you know your labour, you know your materials, you know whatever else you've got to hire or any plant you've got to get in to do the job, and you've got a net cost to you excluding VAT. Remember, just reminding you, and I said it on day 1, but we're always talking excluding VAT at this stage. And don't fuck yourself. The net cost is the net cost. That figure is what it is, okay? Do not fuck yourself over, like I say, and try and think, well, we can get it done quicker and we'll be more efficient at this, because then you're that person chasing your tail all the time. If you're in business and you've been in business a while, you know how long things take. You know how long certain trades should take. And obviously, if you're newer to business, you're going to have to learn this skill as you go. But it doesn't take very long after you do 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 jobs. You get to know, right, it's going to take X amount of days. It's going to take that much material, because you can measure it, you can look back. And obviously, when you're pricing work, depending on what trades you're in, a lot of times you're actually pricing a similar work all the time. So it only gets easier and quicker to price work. And the sheets that I've got for you, the tools I've got for you, you can have them set up for all the common stuff that you buy, because you're an electrical company or you're a tiling company. You're just copy and paste, and altering the quantities to the job. So it'll get very easy, okay? Now, profit. I want to roll into this. Profit needs to be clearly defined, which I've got you covered. We're set up to do that on the sheets that we've got, okay? Because you need to know as the owner exactly to the penny how much profit is on every job before you set on site. Because you've got your budget, you've worked it out properly, and you know, right, that job over there has got 2 grand on it, that job over there has got 500 quid on it, that job's got 20 grand on it. You need to know those figures. If you don't, and especially if I speak to you and you can't answer, right, what's the profit on that job, you don't know, so you're fucked. You're absolutely fucked. You need to know exactly what profit is on. And a note on that, we are always talking profit margin and not markup. All right, we've got to be very, very clear on that, because people get confused between the two and they are not the same. Markup is less than margin, and margin is a way more accurate method of knowing, right, what profits have we got on the jobs, okay? Because markup is when you're just marking a cost up, and I will put a table below this so you see the difference. But a lot of people get messed up because they think they've got 20% margin on and they haven't, they've got 20% markup. So I'll make that very clear. We, as professionals, professional business people, we always work to margin. Market traders work to markup. Real businesses, we look at profit margins all the time. So never ever think about markup. And in the minute someone says to you markup, remember, they're wrong. It needs to be margin that we are talking about, okay? Number 3 on here, on profit. Again, just want to highlight, when you negotiate on price, it only ever comes from your profit. So when you're in front of a customer and they're trying to knock you down, but it's still the same job that you're doing, if you knock down the price, that's coming off your bottom line. So you've got to remember that, and I just want you to really fucking know that's always coming from your bottom line. That's your business's money, that's your money, that's your family's money that is being hit when a customer's trying to basically get a better deal, or someone's trying to rip you off and charge you more money than they agreed, or anything like that comes up in this industry very often. Do not accept that or tolerate that, because the only person that loses is you. And this is going to help you be a better salesperson as we go on through the program of just having your mind geared for that, okay? Number 4, profit margin is non-fucking negotiable, all right? Just saying it so it's loud and clear. This is it's like paying your mortgage or your rent on your house. You don't fuck around with it. You don't negotiate with it. It's not like, oh, I don't feel like paying that this month, or I can't be asked paying it this month. Your margin in business is your key driver. This is the one thing that I look at all the time, every single job. What's the margin? What do we tender it at? What do we price it at? What are we making on it? What did it finish at? Margin, margin, margin. Get it tattooed on your fucking head if you need to. The margin is the most important number in a business, okay? So don't ever lose sight of that. And remember, look, lastly, no profit, no business. Simple as that. No profit, no business. Profit needs to be first on your mind all the time. It's not worth the ball ache and the ag to be in this industry, to be quite frank with you, if you're not earning the right profits for what you do. Now, your tools. Below this video, you have got a basic job pricing sheet, which, to be honest, is called basic, but you can price a decent sized job on there. You could price a 100 grand job on there if it's a simple, few 4 or 5 things that you're going to do, and you can watch those videos and you'll figure it out yourself. But there's a basic one. So if you're a carpentry business, you're a tiling business, you're electrical, decorating, whatever you are, the basic one is likely going to be the right one for you. It's set up nice and easy, and the video will explain what it is. You can download it below that video as well, and you've got a pricing sheet to use. The advanced one is more than likely going to be more suitable for when you've got multiple trades. So you might be more of a general contracting business, you might be more of a general building company, and the difference is basically you can see a lot more visibility. You can change margins on certain elements of works if you're using specialist contractors, for example. That will all be explained on that video. But that's more if you're more of a multi-trade, faceted contracting building business, okay? Now, I think you should use those sheets because it's going to teach you how to price properly. However, get my words out. Having said that, there are some apps that make life easy when you understand what you're doing and what you're pricing. One of them is Tradeify for very simple stuff, but you need to make sure that the prices and figures on there are accurate. And the other one is Next Minute if you're a bigger building company. That's a very easy way of pricing work. You can even get a QS to price work and it will upload into Next Minute, but I won't go into that for now. But I think if you use my sheets, you will really, really understand pricing, and then you'll be able to check those apps and make sure they're actually working correctly, because believe it or not, some of them work to markup and not margin, and you can get your figures skewed. So be very cautious with that, okay? But just wanted to put that in there for you guys. And then finally, some of you will actually be using a QS to price certain works. This is for bigger building companies, and I wanted to just cover this off as well, so there's no stone unturned. Big warning, QSs aren't the cleverest people you will meet. Don't be fooled that the QS knows more than you when it comes to business and pricing. The QS is just looking purely at the job. You are looking at the business. And a lot of QSs don't really fully understand the difference between markup and margin as well, which is just fucking mental. I know it's mad, but it does happen. I come across this a lot. And really, look, QSs are generally numbers people and they're geeks. They're not business people. So they will be, QSs can be very afraid to go in at higher margins, or, you know, because they just want to win the job, because to them that's success. A QS is just, well, did you win the job or not? But that's not success to you as a business owner. Success to you as a business owner is, did we win the work at the right margin? Because there's no point doing work, again, if there's no profit in it. It's not viable to do and build a company from. Okay, so action steps. Download the costing sheet that's relevant and watch the video that's relevant, whether it's the basic one or the advanced one, and then save it to your computer. I would set up a folder, and then basically you can just save the sheet as the job name, and then copy that sheet, save the next job as the next job name, and you've got a folder there. And that's going to be very useful for not only you to running the jobs, because sometimes you might price a job and you come back to it in 3 months and you can go back, and the way that they're priced, it's very methodical, it's easy to see, so you don't have to reprice a job again. But equally, once you get to the stage, or you might even be at the stage now of having an admin person help you, or someone that comes in for support, there's a folder set up on the computer, all the jobs are there, all the information there, and you're set for success because you've got that right system in place of transparency of information. And this is where a lot of building companies and trade businesses go wrong. Okay, so watch the relevant video to you, and then what I would do is actually cost a job that you've got in front of you to cost now, or if you're halfway through a job or you've just started a job, recost it on this sheet and actually see what your actual figures are and how it works out. And that's what I want you to do today. Okay, so that's all I need you to do. Download those sheets, get informed on those sheets, and actually cost a job, and get used to pricing work in the right way. This is the best way to price work without fail. Trust me, 1,000,000%.